Good morning and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Kallevig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. Thanks for listening. Feel free to give us a call if anything is resonating, if there's questions, worries, concerns. Give us a call today or anytime this week or anytime, really. That's why we're here. Every week, Kim, of course, we talk about all the retirement questions that are out there, the economy, and good to be with you again.
Thank you. It's great to be with you as well. I'm looking forward to today's discussion. We're talking about, a lot of times we're really talking about people who are in retirement or people who are very, very close. And while we're going to talk about a group that's getting pretty close, it's pretty widespread, and that being the Gen Xers. So 1965 to 1980, if that's your time frame, then we're going to be addressing you today.
I guess that'll be me. I always get the Generation X, Y, Z. I get them all always screwed up. So I learned something today. I guess I'm Gen X.
Yeah, you are Gen X. You're falling right in there. 61 to 49. This is a group of Americans who are thinking about retirement, and obviously those on the higher end thinking about it pretty readily. But certainly a group that should be addressed, Larry, because these are folks who need to be making some serious plans.
For certain, because time flies. Next thing you know, we're there. Clarification, I am in the Gen X, but I am not thinking about retirement. Listeners probably know if they've heard me, I have 4 daughters, aged soon to be 25, 23, 23, and 20. Spread out everywhere. I'll be working a very long time. I know that. But my parents still farm at 80, 81 and 78. So I guess it's in the blood. But It's never too early to start thinking about these retirement plans. And of course, Gen Xers are getting quite close. But if you're listening today, and maybe you're quite younger, it's never too early. And I know people preach this. It's never too early to start planning for retirement. Even if it's taking little steps to get somewhere, the power of compounding and over time, it'll pay great dividends in the future if you just start doing something now. And the younger generation, I just heard it again last week. Well, we just don't have any money to be putting in the 401k. A little bit goes a long ways. Start somewhere to get somewhere. And I can't encourage that any more than I am right now.
Yeah. I also want to be so bold as to say that you don't necessarily have to be a Gen X, or you can be, a little bit older. You can be that tail into the baby boomers. And we've got some information today for you. So this is a show that you're not going to want to miss. We're going to talk about not ignoring your retirement accounts. Then we'll talk about replacing the benefits of a pension. I would be very surprised if many Gen Xers will have a pension. Plan for health care sooner rather than later. Boy, a statement could not be more true. And then finally, unique retirement tips for Gen Xers. And I think we'll be able to probably expand that out to, as I was saying, those later baby boomers. And I think there's a number of people who are going to be able to relate. But let's get started talking about retirement accounts. You just said, Larry, that, it's never too early to start to contribute, even if it's a small amount, because that accumulates over time.
It does. Start with a little bit, a percent, increase it 1% or 2% every year. You probably won't even notice the difference in your checking or savings account. It's really that easy. And I know it sounds complicated. Things are expensive. Inflation's been high and all these things. But even start little. And, you got to look at the 401k. If you're getting a match at work, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's an absolute no-brainer. It's free money. Take advantage of that and put as much in there as possible. Obviously, I've had the privilege, and a lot of our clients are baby boomers, as you mentioned. I love that generation, man. The discipline that they have, and I guess I know old school because I hang out with a lot of baby boomers, and their perspective a lot of times is just so enlightening compared to, well, let's not talk about the complete younger generation. We're not going to go there today. But, looking at IRAs, 401ks, should you have it in the pre-tax category? Should you have it in the Roth category? Roths haven't been part of 401ks for that long. Some employer plans don't have them. And, it's tax season. Maybe you're listening, April 15th is approaching us quickly. This past week, I had numerous clients, and of course, Lance is our CPA, and they've reached out and they've done their taxes, and hey, it makes sense to do a contribution of $8,000, a catch-up contribution. So we've had numerous people put that into their IRA accounts with us this week because it made sense tax-wise, and everything comes down to that tax conversation. And I can't encourage the listeners any more than I am as well that do you have a good tax planner, a good tax preparer, and all of the above, or did you just get your taxes prepared and you have no clue as to how you're positioned or what maybe you could have done different? And I know this segment wasn't on taxes, but I go there because so many people aren't getting the attention. They're missing opportunities. They didn't do a Roth conversion last year. Nobody helped them. Nobody instructed them. Nobody gave them advice. And they're just missing opportunities that aren't going to be here forever because these tax brackets exist. They will for another 3 years, but they're not going to exist forever. So these opportunities are exactly what they are. Opportunities to pay less tax now underneath the tax code, or do you want to pay more taxes in the future? I think a little reflection, I think you know the answer to that question.
Sure, absolutely. Now, Larry, we're talking about individuals again today. We're kind of, centering on these Gen Xers. So some of our oldest Gen Xers at this point are about 61, maybe getting ready to turn 62. Is it too early for them to start these kinds of conversions? Do they need to wait until they're no longer working? Because many of them are still working.
Completely driven by that income discussion. How much money are they making? If they make too much, they can't even put into a Roth. There's income limits. But oftentimes, and we see this so often over the years, people retire earlier than anticipated for a variety of reasons. Hopefully there are good reasons and not bad reasons. We hear both. And sometimes there's a gap, those gap years where they haven't turned on Social Security. They're delaying it for good reason. And we had several classes this week, very well attended. So they're delaying Social Security. Maybe they're blessed to have a pension, but they're delaying until 65, which a lot of pensions are still growing. So oftentimes there's these lean income years, which creates an opportunity, especially with these big standard deduction, the big beautiful bill, and the incentives that have come folks' way, where they can fill that 12% tax bracket if married filing jointly, almost up to 140 grand. That creates a lot of wiggle room at 12%.
Sure.
Well, that 12% is a good chance in a few years is going to be at least 15, if not higher. So yes, that age group and other age groups, there is opportunity. But if you're not having the conversation, I'm guessing a lot of people are missing it. And again, unforced errors is what I call that.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the younger end of these Gen Xers. They can still be pretty aggressive with their investments, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, the element of time is on their side. Again, The timeline is much, much longer. So being more aggressive, absolutely. For the older or more mature investors that are getting close, obviously we've been at war, and obviously the market's jumped everywhere, probably leading some people to panic. I hope not, because I think the U.S. economy is still strong. But yes, the switch from being more aggressive to more protection, what do they say? Defense wins championships. Yeah, we still want to make money, but as we get older, it's not as much about making as much rather than keeping what we have. So the problem is, and I've said it so many times, most people have no idea how much risk they're taking until times like this. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I went down so much in one day. My encouragement would be, how about you stress test that portfolio now so you're not surprised? We have a plan. We've talked through it. And maybe you shouldn't be as aggressive right now. If you're younger, don't worry about it. Okay. But if you're getting closer, that timeline is 5 years or less to retirement, what's the rest of this decade going to hold? I don't know. Your gal doesn't know. The stock market doesn't know. What I do know is we can only control the risk that we have in our portfolio, and maybe principal protection is maybe a little more important, and you maybe should have that conversation now.
Sure. And at Haven Financial Group, you guys can sit down with someone who is in their retirement years and maybe wants their portfolio looked over. Maybe they need a stress test on their portfolio right now. You can sit down with these Gen Xers on the lighter side, 49, 50 years old, and start to get them on a plan. You have the ability to take care of all of that.
We're not limited at Haven Financial Group in scope at all. I mean, we do everything specific to geared towards retirement planning. Yes. So is our average demographic more in that, high 50s to 80? Yes. But I will tell you this week, I can speak that we had at least two, if not three different kids of clients that mom and dad told them to come here. And we sat down with them. One of them, man, 40 years old. He's a lieutenant colonel. He flies the Black Hawk helicopter. Holy buckets. You talk about a disciplined guy. But we're able to work with all age groups. And, we can address how much risk you're taking. What is the long-term plan? And when we're cultivating a relationship, because that's truly what we're doing, at a younger age, it's really going to pay some serious dividends when they get to their retirement age. And that's the fun part about what we do.
612-504-8400 is how you get hold of the folks there at the Haven Financial Group. Tell them you heard us here on the radio and that you'd like to sit down, regardless of what phase of retirement you might be in, and talk to the experts there, making sure that your goals are met. When we come back, we're going to talk about replacing the benefit of a pension. A lot of Gen Xers, even young baby boomers, no longer have pensions. And so you need something that is going to pay you out, as Larry likes to call it, mailbox money. How are you going to pay yourself? We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. This is the Haven Financial Group Radio Show.